Happy festive season. Yes. I must say you're bringing this event just at the right time. Let's get straight to understand more. I'll start with you, Nyambe, the coordinator for Kwanzaa. Let's hear more about this event.
Okay, so the event Kwanzaa celebration, which will be taking place on the 26th of December, that's Tuesday, the day after Christmas, is really a celebration of African unity. And it's a festivity that allows us as Africans to unite and enjoy African food, African music, and just our African tradition, our heritage and rich culture. So just to experience that together and bring us in unity as Africans.
Hi everyone, my name is Nalukui Mufungulwa Muchindu, and I will be hosting the first ever Kwanzaa celebration in Lusaka at the Urban Maasai on the 26th of December 2023. Now I know you might be asking yourself, what is Kwanzaa anyway? Well, let me fill you in. So Kwanzaa is really about uniting us Africans and celebrating our cultures and our heritage. It stands on 7 amazing principles, which are umoja, which means unity, kujichagulia, which means self-determination, ujima, collective work and responsibility, ujamaa, cooperative economics, nia, which means purpose, kuumba, for creativity, and imani, for faith. So basically, it's all about Africans celebrating African heritage. It's for Africans, by Africans. These words come from Swahili. Now, I may not be pronouncing them perfectly, but I definitely respect what they stand for. So if you want to find out more about what Kwanzaa is about while celebrating with amazing music, good food, come through to the Urban Maasai on the 26th of December, which is Tuesday next week, and have yourself an amazing time. You can dress up in your favorite African outfits. It doesn't matter how crazy or eccentric, as long as they celebrate you as a true African person. Now, like I said, I'm one of your hosts, so be ready for an amazing time.
The African Union and all Pan-African organizations, as well as organizations within the US who want to champion African causes. That it's time we came together. We need to come together with a common purpose of making sure we free ourselves. And the key people in this matter are quite many. But our distinguished political leaders can make that change. They are, I would say, leaders within our social circles. We have influencers. I will just name 1 or 2. We know that Dr. Arikana started the revolution. Leaders like Julius Malema, just to name a few. our own State 55 President, Sishwati Situla. I would like to appeal that these leaders should find common ground alongside others who I haven't mentioned, should come together and to ask for one thing. That I think some of you may know that in 2022, Swahili was recognized as the official working language of the AU. So my question is, why can't we ask the AU to also recognize Kwanzaa? At least one day from those 7 days can be recognized as a public holiday in Africa. After all, we are honoring our very own Dr. Karenga, who came up with this wisdom for all of us to benefit from.
Greetings, Brother Lutombi Kawana. Through you to my friend Baruti Katembo and your Kwanzaa team, I thank you kindly for inviting me to express support for this monumentally important event. In the immortal words of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, I quote, "No one knows when the hour of Africa's redemption cometh. It is in the wind. It is coming. One day, like a storm, it will be here. When that day comes, all Africa will stand together." End of quote. It is altogether fitting that this action take place in Lusaka, Zambia, in view of the gigantic role your country's founding president, the Honorable Kenneth Kaunda, played in holding high the torch of freedom for so many of the post-colonial African nation states, their freedom fighters and their people. When Dr. Karenga created Kwanzaa 57 years ago, he no doubt envisioned that this day would come. It represents our having come full circle from the time when ancestors of Africans in America and the Caribbean were captured and brought by force to this hemisphere and subjected to chattel slavery. In the ensuing years since the 16th century, our people have been subject to the most egregious forms and practices of man's inhumanity toward his fellow man in the annals of human history. Beyond enslavement, we have been Jim Crowed, lynched, tarred and feathered, quartered, castrated, and our women and children raped and otherwise abused. We have been discriminated against and made to suffer indignities too numerous and gross to mention further. Yet we have endured it all and survived to experience this day's celebration. A son of Africans who were abducted from the motherland created a celebration patterned after African first fruits festivals, and today the Kwanzaa Zambia interim team will facilitate the sharing of African American culture with Zambia at Urban Masai. We look forward to other enlightened Africans elsewhere on the continent following Zambia's fine example, now that this precedent has been set. Toward that end, perhaps our friend Sishwati Marie might be persuaded to use his good offices and communications media to get the State 55 organization to undertake a campaign to get all 55 of the African nation states to do as Zambia has done. This could set, or they could, I should say, set that as a goal to be achieved by December 26th of 2024. Diasporan Africans could then be encouraged to make the pilgrimage to an African country of their choice to celebrate Kwanzaa 2024. Imagine thousands of Africans throughout the diaspora traveling to various countries in Africa that would be hosting celebrations such as that being pioneered here today and at Zambia. Would that not be a harvest of first fruits? Marcus Garvey challenged us to, as I quote, "Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come and bring with me countless millions of Black slaves who have died in America and the West Indies, and the millions in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. The whirlwind is indeed here. Without a doubt, Mr. Garvey is there with you in spirit. We have indeed come full circle back home. And if it be the will of the Creator Spirit of Africa, I look forward to receiving an invitation to visit Zambia in person to celebrate Kwanzaa with you 1 year from now. Peace and blessings. I'm Afika Deriki-Gayuka, author, Building Bridges Over Troubled Waters, the book study edition, new and expanded, West Palm Beach, Florida, USA. Congratulations.
Habari Gani Global African Family. My name is Konata Otuome. I am a recent returnee to the continent of Africa from the United States of America. I currently reside in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I also have had extensive travels to Kenya, mostly Nairobi. I've also spent time in Arusha, here in Tanzania, and I've passed through the countries of Ethiopia and Togo. What I have to say about Kwanzaa is that it is a great, great holiday. Some people criticize that it's a made-up holiday, but I will argue that every single holiday is a made-up holiday. So that is not a distraction from the greatness of the holiday. I'm not sure whether or not I knew about Kwanzaa as a child, but I definitely heard about Kwanzaa as an undergraduate in college, and that was my introduction to the Kiswahili language, which I fell in love with, and I continue to study and try to learn how to speak on a daily basis. The combination of the Kwanzaa holiday, along with the mini series by Alex Haley called Roots, and the book called Roots, and many other readings throughout undergrad, and my different interactions with working with and going to school with immigrants from various nations, African nations who were in the U.S. for, on student visas or working, or just for first generation Americans or whatever. All of that brought me here. And I basically summarized that to say that my ancestors called me back to the continent. So my immediate family has no real knowledge of Kwanzaa, and so I will be teaching them the principles starting tomorrow. And I think Kwanzaa is a great bridge that links African Americans to continental Africans. And I know some people, they disagree with those terms, but as we gain more power, then we can figure out what we want to be called as a group and as individuals. So with that being said, I'm thankful to the one God for Kwanzaa. I am thankful for the brother who created it, Dr. Karinga. In spite of anything else, the holiday that he created is great, and so I would just encourage everybody to practice Kwanzaa each and every year. And so with that being said, Kwaheri Kwasasa.
My name is Baruti Katembo. I am part of the inaugural Zambia Kwanzaa team. I am based in the United States, but we have a ground crew in Zambia that's actually orchestrating the actual program. This will be the first time that Kwanzaa has been celebrated in the country of Zambia 2023. Today I have with me a very special guest who is going to provide a few words about Kwanzaa. His name is Dr. Segun Shabaka. He is the chair of the New York chapter of the National Association of Kawaida Organizations. He will be giving a few words in lieu of Dr. Karanga, Dr. Maulana Karanga, who is the founder of Kwanzaa, and perhaps giving a few thoughts of his own in regard to his reaction and perhaps the ideas of Dr. Karanga in reaction to the fact of Kwanzaa being celebrated inaugurally in Zambia. And I think this will be a very interesting presentation from Dr. Shabaka. I'm certainly honored to have him. So Jambo na karibu, hello and welcome, Dr. Shabaka. Thank you for joining me today.
Sante Sana, thank you very much, Brother Baruti. I'm honored to be here. And I want to say Asante and Karibu to the Zambian family. And we bring you, Zambia, warm greetings on this 57th anniversary of Kwanzaa. Dr. Karanga, who developed the philosophy of Kawaida in Nguza Saba, from which Kwanzaa was created 57 years ago, asks that I let you know he personally sends his very warm greetings and wishes for you as well, and blessings without number and all good things without end. We are honored to be a part of this first annual inaugural Kwanzaa celebration and want to welcome you to the global African Kwanzaa community and family. Kwanzaa is celebrated on every continent by tens of millions of people of African descent. This year's Kwanzaa theme is Kwanzaa, freedom, justice, and peace, principles and practices for a new world. Kwanzaa is a celebration of family, community, and culture. Again, this year, we wish for African people everywhere throughout the world, African community, Heri za Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa. And we bring and send greetings of celebration, solidarity, and continued struggle for an inclusive and shared good in the world. Also, in the still held high tradition of our ancestors, we wish for African people and all peoples of the world the good that heaven grants and the earth produces and the waters bring forth from their depth. Hotep, Ashe Hedi. Moreover, among all the goods that are granted, given, and gained through ceaseless striving and righteous struggle and relentless struggle, we wish especially for our people and all other oppressed and struggling people of the world the shared and indivisible good of freedom, justice, and peace, deservedly achieved and enjoyed and passed on to future generations. Indeed, we live in turbulent times of continuing unfreedom and oppression, the enduring evil of injustice and destructive conflicts, and in unjust and genocidal war. And freedom, justice, and peace in the world and for the good of the world and all in it are urgent, essential, and indispensable. Kwanzaa was conceived and born in the womb, work, and transformative struggles of the Black freedom movement. And thus, its essential message and meaning was shaped and shared not only in Sankofa Initiative of Cultural Retrieval and the best of our views, values, and practices as African people, it was also shaped by the defining decade of fierce striving and struggle for freedom, justice, and associated goods waged by African people and other people of color all over the world in the 1960s. Kwanzaa came into being, grounded itself, and grew as an act of freedom, an instrument of freedom, a celebration of freedom, and a practice of freedom. It was an act of self-determination, self-authorization, a means of cultivating and expanding consciousness and commitment, a righteous and revealing in our captured sense of sacredness, soulfulness, and beauty of Black selves, and a practice and principles that engenders and sustain liberated and liberating ways to understand and assert ourselves in the world. At the heart of Kwanzaa is this liberating practice are the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa and Kawaida philosophy, from which Dr. Karenga created both Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Saba. Kawaida defines itself as the striving mightily to bring forth the best of African sensibilities, thought, and practices in constant exchange with the world, and thus is developed and directed in the interests of African people and human good and well-being in the world. Kwanzaa, of course, has the Nguzo Saba at its heart. These are the 7 principles. And if we are to achieve the vital goods in the new world that their securing will require and reflect, then we must have principles and practices that ground us and direct us toward this noble and needed goal. And the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, offers us these principles and practices. They are umoja, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, and race. Umoja calls on us to work and struggle for principled and purposeful practice together in freedom, justice, and peace in our families, community, and the world. It stresses the ties that link us and cultivate us in sensitivity to each other, other humans in the world, and all in it. Indeed, it is expressed in the teachings of Dr. Anna Julia Cooper, who affirmed this ancient African value. She said, "We take our stand on the solidarity of humanity, the oneness of life, and the unnaturalness and injustice of all favoritism, whether of sex, race, condition, or country." The second principle, Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, speak for ourselves, instead of being defined, named, created for, and spoken for by others. Kujichagulia reaffirms the fundamental principle of and practice of the right of every people to determine their own destiny and daily lives, and to live free in their own place, space, and time. It affirms the right to resist all forms of unfreedom, injustice, and oppression. And it reaffirms Haji Malcolm X's teaching that freedom is essential to life. Freedom is essential to the development of the human being. And if we don't have freedom, we can never expect justice and equality. Indeed, only after freedom do justice and equality become a reality in the fullest sense and principle and practice, in the fullest sense of the principle and practice. The next principle is Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our communities together, and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. Ujima reminds us and reaffirms the enduring essential truth that we must build the good world we all want and deserve. It teaches the centrality of togetherness and our constant quest for an inclusive freedom, justice, and peace. And it reaffirms the reality that only in collective work and responsibility can we achieve freedom, ensure justice, and build peace and security of persons and people we all long and struggle for all over the world. The next principle is Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together. The principle of Ujamaa teaches us the principle and practice of shared work and shared wealth, modeled on the shared harvest. It calls for cooperative work, respect for rights of workers, and the need of everyone for a life of dignity and economic security, and the condition and capacity to live free, good, and meaningful life. It is rooted in the concept of kinship, with a sharing kindness toward others in the earth, and cultivates a sensitivity for avoiding and resisting injuries to fellow humans in the natural world. Fifth principle is Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our communities in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. So this principle calls for us to do good in and for the world and pursue and practice freedom, justice, peace, caring, sharing, and all that contributes to African and human good and well-being in the world and all in it. Next principle is Kuumba, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can to leave our communities more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. So this principle of Kuumba commits us to work and struggle for a new world and a new us that is rooted in the ancient African ethical imperative of Saruj Ta, which is a moral obligation to constantly repair, renew, and remake the world, making it more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And the last principle, last but not least, is Imani, which teaches us to believe in with all our hearts and our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our cause and struggle. So Imani teaches us to believe in the good and strive constantly to achieve it everywhere. And it is most essential, inclusive, and expansive forms. It reminds us that we must have faith in the future, in the new world we seek to bring into being in order to imagine and build them. So again, we want to say asante to all of you, Brother Baruti and your team, for pulling together this inaugural Kwanzaa in Zambia. And we are looking forward to perhaps being there with you all in the near future. And so we say, Heri za Kwanzaa. Asante sana.
Asante Sana, many thanks, Dr. Shabaka, for those very inspirational words. I want to thank you for being with me today and providing those historic words that would be in lieu of what Dr. Karanga would have said if he were here, as well as the interblend of your own thoughts and concepts about the importance of Kwanzaa and its importance historically in this upcoming event. I just would like to say again that Kwanzaa as a Pan-African holiday, by virtue of what we're doing right now in this pre-recorded presentation that you made with it, and in the inaugural celebration of Kwanzaa in Zambia, and as you mentioned that Kwanzaa is celebrated globally and in other parts of the continent as well, like South Africa and in Ghana, for instance. Kwanzaa, certainly as a Pan-African holiday, has the ability and does connect African people across borders and oceans. And I think that that's what
Yes, it does.
today has has articulated as well, and what we're doing by this message being pre-recorded and using technology to interface with other African people in different spaces globally. So with that, Asante Sana, again, Dr. Shabaka, and Harry
Thank you. Asante to you.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Harry Kwanzaa. Thank you.
Thank you.
For all of us who are here, cheer up, because I'm about to give it back to our Master of Ceremonies, the Director of Programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, the next thing that we are going to do is indulge in some fine African cuisine. So our buffet line is going to start right there, and we can proceed there as soon as I'm done mentioning our US supporters. Baruti and Gina Katembo, David Akombo, Andre and Connie Neal, Igor Otubu, Rashad Shahid, Kenneth and Valerie Williams Sr., Ikembe Ojore, Camille Ojoyo, Lawrence and Nelly Tansil, Eric Powell, Baba Kubwa Kweku, and Hati Carlis. Also, the African diaspora recipe contributors, Gina Tembo and Lafayette Williams Sr. None of this would have been possible without these supporters. Please give them a round of applause.